Hello and welcome to a new tutorial. In this video, we are going to be learning how to make our tracked hands interactable. So all this while in the past two videos, while we were setting up the interactables, the grabbable objects, we were grabbing them with the controllers using the grip button. And in this video, we are going to be learning how to use our hands to grab them. So using the hand tracking. So before that, let us hit play and see what we already have and we can work from there. You can see that these are my tracked hands. These are the controllers. I'm going to use the joystick to move till the gun here that we had created. So this is what we did last time. We set up two-handed grab. Dynamic attach is back on this object, by the way, so you can just set that back on. And these are my tracked hands. These are my tracked hands. And if you see, when I try to grab the object, absolutely nothing happens. And that is because our tracked hands don't even have an interactor on them, like we have with the controllers. We will see how to set that up now real quick. So as I mentioned before, on the gun, turn back dynamic attach on. You can leave it on if you'd like, off if you'd like, but you can turn it back on so you can grab it from anywhere. So let's go to the XR origin and expand it. And under camera offset, you will see on the left and right controller game objects. You see this game object called direct interactor. And we have set up direct interactors on our controllers. But if I expand the left hand and the right hand, these are the ones we are using for tracking, by the way. And you can see those prefabs here. You will see that there is no interactor on these whatsoever. So no matter what gesture you do, it is not going to interact with the object. So we are going to set up the direct interactors on our tracked hands now. So the first thing that we are going to do before we set up our direct interactors is we will go to edit, project settings, and in the XR plugin management menu in the OpenXR section, we will have to turn on the meta hand tracking aim feature group. And we should have done this initially, but it's okay. Since we're using it now, we can just enable that right now as we go. And once that is done, we will start setting up our direct interactors on the hands. So on the left hand, I will right click and create an empty game object. Let's call this direct interactor. I'm going to duplicate this and drop it also on the right hand and make sure that they are position and rotation are at 0. You can also right click and just reset. So I will now start by adding the XR direct interactor on the direct interactors on the left and right, and I've selected both of them at the same time. And here you will see a warning. It says this component requires the game object to have an XR controller component. Add one to ensure that this component can respond to user input. So with both my direct interactors selected, I will add the XR controller, action based, don't forget, to the direct interactors. And while we are at that, we will also add a sphere collider and a rigid body. This is extremely important. Let us turn is kinematic on, and we can leave the rest of that as it is. On the sphere collider, we will select is trigger and set that to true, and we can reduce the radius to 0.1. So, and you can see that here in the, if I turn on the gizmos, this is the gizmos button, super helpful. So you can see I've just reduced the radius to 0.1. Now that we have done that, we are basically done, but we need to do one more small step, and that is on, if you remember from last time, we need to add the presets on our XR controller. So I will select the left hand direct interactor, click on the presets button here on the XR controller component and select the XRI default left controller preset. We will do the same thing for the right hand here on the direct interactor. We go to the XR controller and select the XRI default right controller preset. So now that that is done, we are pretty much done with the setup. And before we hit play, I would also like to quickly explain why we added the same presets back. So if I go back to the file here that we had that has been given to us by the starter assets in the XR interaction toolkit, if I open that up, under XRI left hand interaction action maps, you will see under the select action, you will see the index pressed binding, and you will also see the grip pressed binding under select. So the action is select, which means we are trying to select an object, or in this case grab an object, and under select you have two bindings, and that is when the grip pressed, which means if I press the left grip, it's going to trigger the select button, select action, and if I also do this, that is the index pressed, it is going to trigger the select action. And this is just to show you the advantage of using action based controllers. The action is the same, but you can have multiple inputs. Okay, so we will now hit play and just take a look at what happens. And on the gun, everything looks good. You don't have to change anything here on the gun, except you can turn back dynamic attach back on if you want. Using my controllers to move, I'm going to put the controllers down, and these are my hands, and you will see these 3D models of the controllers here, and we will get rid of them in just a minute, because this has been added when we added the XR direct interactor component. And now you can see when I do the pinch, this is pinch by the way, so when I do the pinch action near the interactable, I'm able to grab it with my hands, and everything works as normal because we are using the same action map. So I can grab it like this, I can scale it up and down like I did with the controllers, and everything else stays the same. So we will now remove those 3D models of the controllers that we saw, and to do that we will again just expand the XR origin and go to the left hand and the right hand where we added the direct interactor component, and the XR controller component, and under the model prefab we are going to select that and set it to none. And you will see now that the controller 3D models have disappeared from here. I've also enabled that cube back, so the cube that we created in the third video, in part 3, the single-handed grab interactable. So I'm grabbing this with my controllers now, and I'm going to put them down, and once my hands come on, I can just grab the object. So that was a basic tutorial on how to set up interactions on our tracked hands. In the next video, we are going to look at how to set up UI interactions on OpenXR inside the VR environment. And we are going to explore some basic UI interactions in VR. If this video helped you out, don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this video with a friend if you think it's going to help them out, and I will see you in the next one.